Welcome to The Herbal Ire, your podcast on all things holistic health, medical astrology, spirituality, herbalism, and so much more. Presented by your host, Ire Atla, medical astrologist, herbalist, and naturopath. Let's dive right into today's topic, love and light. Are you looking for unique gifts for your loved one? Know someone that has an awesome knickknack collection, needs some new pieces? Someone looking for some interesting items to add to their house? Then you need Faded Leaves by Josie. She creates handcrafted clay items that are cute collectible pieces. From mushrooms, ramen bowls, fruit, pizza, and more, these handcrafted, hand-painted items are sure to light up anyone's day. All items are sealed to protect them and shipped safely packaged to prevent breaking. Find Faded Leaves by Josie on Facebook to make your purchase today. Again, that's Faded Leaves by Josie on Facebook. Welcome, dear listeners, back to The Herbal Ire. I'm your host, Ire Atla, and I am here today with another witch, actually. So this is super cool, and I think you're going to really love what we talk about. So today I want to introduce to you Chauri, and she is also a green witch, and she has an apothecary type business and magical business, and it's super cool. So Chauri seeks to deepen her connection with the earth and loves exploring herbalism through her online apothecary shop, HealingTreazuresBotanical. She creates potions by working closely with the physical and spiritual energies of the plants to handcraft enchanted ritual tools, skincare, and wellness projects for your magical and your mundane needs. Welcome, Chauri.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm excited to be chatting with you today.
Yes, I'm so excited you're here. Chauri and I met through a witchy, networking type event, and we hit it off pretty quickly because we're both kind of in the same space. She does more of the magical side, and I do more of the physical healing side, but it's been really fun getting to talk about all that stuff together with another green witch.
Yes, I'm super excited. I love your posts and how you talk about medical astrology because that's not my wheelhouse, but I'm super fascinated by it. So I love learning about that and what you have to share.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. I love your posts because everything you make just seriously makes me want to I'm like, oh my God, I didn't think about using, that plant for this reason, or I knew that, but I've forgotten it, or I haven't used it for that recently, and I need to get back to that. So they're always very educational, and the products you make just look so appealing, and your packaging is just amazing. And it just makes me want to recommend your store to everybody. And then I really need to go make a purchase, but it's been a little crazy lately, so I haven't, but I should.
Now we're just getting over the holidays, back into the swing of things.
Yes, that is, we took a trip for the holidays to go see some of our older kids that live in Tennessee. And then we had to make a couple other pit stops. And we decided, well, since we have to make these pit stops, we'll see friends and family. So in 3 weeks, we traveled to 16 different states and then back again to where we started. So kind of still recovering from that. So things have been a bit crazy over here, and it kind of finally calming down.
Oh my goodness. That is exciting though, that you got to see all your family and see those beautiful places.
Yes, it was great. And unfortunately, we got stuck in that cold snap that happened on that side of the country. So we wound up in our, in the van that we staying in -10 weather. Oh, that was crazy.
Oh,
yeah. So I don't recommend doing that. Traveling in a van, yes, not in -10 weather.
How do you keep warm?
What was that?
How do you keep warm? I get cold.
We have a yes, I know. We have a propane heater, and then we put all of our layers of clothes on, all of our blankets on us, and stuck the dog in the bed with us. We were like, we could have all of the body heat. That's what we needed. So, as I mentioned, and you heard, Chauri has a magical apothecary, and it's super cool. And she makes a lot of different offerings and products. And the one that I've been most interested in, because it's something that I like, but I just don't tend to make myself, are the simmer pots. Can you explain what that is for those listening who maybe don't know?
Yeah, so simmer pots can be used multiple ways, but the two main ways that we see them used is one, just as a scent to make your house smell nice. So people like potpourri, so people would throw together dried herbs and dried fruits in a pot and they'd let it simmer. And a lot of people do it for the aromatherapy aspects, but you can also use them for the magical aspects as well. So I like to combine different herbs for different things. Like my favorite simmer pot is my purification simmer pot, which has great purification herbs and fruits. Like it has lemon, lime, lavender, and it smells so good, but you can feel it as you're simmering it, like purifying and cleansing the space. I recently did another one. It's a winter witch one, which is more of like winter herbs, and you can use it to cleanse your space, to promote happiness, um, healing. And that one's been really popular. I can't seem to keep that one in stock, but it smells really good. And I use like star anise, cloves, orange, cinnamon.
Yeah,
She
that sounds amazing. That's the one that I see and I'm like, oh my God, I need to get that one. So yeah, that'll be on my list because that just sounds so good.
and it smells wonderful. I love that one too.
So some of the other stuff that you make, I know is like ritual oils I've seen, and you've done some like balms and salves and stuff. Can
Mhm.
you just kind of give us a rundown of like what you offer and how this works?
Sure. So I created Healing Treasures Botanical as a way for me to explore my creativity and my passion for herbalism, but weave my spiritual practices into them too. So, like working with the spiritual energy of the plants, I do work with the physical and some of them too, but I also take into account like the moon cycles, the planetary alignments. So, a lot of thought and intention goes into creating the projects. My favorite products that I make are herbal oils because that's what I work with the most. And I also will charge them under like the moon if I feel like it needs extra charge, or sometimes I'll use candle magic. But herbal oils help with the variety of intentions in your magical practice. You can use them a variety of ways. Like I have an anointing oil, which is my favorite oil, especially for beginners, because it's an all purpose oil. It's just filled with herbs that are and essential oils that are high in spiritual vibration and can give you added power to any of your workings. So, or yourself. You could anoint yourself, your ritual tools, money, your candles. You can put it in a bath. There's so many ways to use that just to amplify your intention, whether it's for confidence or money or love, luck, whatever it may be. It helps amplify that. I also have one that is really popular. It's the Sixth Sense Wisdom Oil, that one, and the Mugwort Oil, because those can help develop your intuitive gifts even further, as well as with dream work. I mainly use them for dream work to help me remember my dreams and decode the messages that come through. And I know a lot of people are into that kind of work, and I see that especially in like fall and winter. That's when I see like a spike in like orders for like the mugwort and the sixth sense, because we're all in the introspective phase of the year. I also
Mhm.
do ritual sprays. So like I have a smudge spray, cleansing spray, and that cleanses negative energy. I do have one that I have released earlier this year. It's called our Crown of Success. So it's like a spray, and I also have it in an oil. But that one is meant to help you remove blockages from your path, like to success, like whatever your desires are, it helps you move those obstacles. And that one I've worked with a lot, and it definitely it works. I also do skincare, like you mentioned. So like salves, bath salts. I do custom orders. So lots of different things. I just didn't want to stick to one thing. I started off I started off in just natural skincare because I had
Okay.
a collaboration with a friend who's a nail tech. She wanted to use more natural products and she's like, I know you do herbs. So that's what I started off with. But I didn't want to just do that. Like my creativity was like, no, you can do this, do this.
Yeah. You feeling too boxed in?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a
Yes, you are
variety.
speaking my language, girl. I love all of that stuff. Yeah, that just really speaks to my soul, all the stuff that you do and how you make it. Because I don't do like the same kind of stuff you do. I do make herbal products for my clients. Mine are all customized and personalized for whatever health issues, mental health issues, spiritual issues, emotional issues that they're going through. And I use the herbs, for more of like the physical, mental, and spiritual healing aspect of them. And so I do put a lot of like intentions into my blends when I make them. I have a certain way that I stir them. I have spells that I'll say over them sometimes to like invoke healing into them even more so. And when I package them, I have like a special ritual. I package them in a certain way that just like, just again adds more like, of that intention of healing and health and joy and happiness, whatever it is that I'm really looking for. So that's really all I do. I don't make any like pre-made kind of stuff, I guess you want to call it, or anything that's like just not like you can just come onto my shop and buy. I don't really have any of that kind of stuff. So I like the fact that you do have that side though, because sometimes, you need that spiritual, that magical, that aspect of stuff. And I love having a place that I can refer my clients to get stuff like that from, because that's just not my wheelhouse. And I don't, want it to be my wheelhouse. I like how I do what I do.
And that's beautiful that you have your creation process like I have mine, but they're completely different. And we work with herbs, you know what I mean? Like there's
Hmm.
so many different ways that you can work with herbs.
Yes, there is. And on that note, what kind of got you into like, herbalism and all of that? I know my journey personally was that I um, was dealing with a lot of health issues. I was getting no help from, the modern medicine community. Their answer for everything was take this birth control pill, which like made things worse instead of better. And I was just getting sicker and sicker. And so I finally decided to like, I'm taking matters into my own hands. And that led me down like the rabbit hole of, alternative health and holistic health and all of that. And I really got into herbs that way and healed my body with them. And then I was like, hey, this is great. And I want to help other people with it too. So then I ended up going to school, and I did get like a couple of degrees in herbalism just because I really wanted like a solid foundation for me personally. And then from that solid foundation, I've kind of grown out of that and built, a personal relationship with the herbs now, and done more of like the magical side and more of like the just really communing with them side. So that's what kind of propelled me into herbalism and the way I use it. So what was your journey like?
I would say mine started with spiritual awakening. When I was younger, I grew up like with two different kind of sets of beliefs. Like I got to see the polarity. Like I have some family that is Christian, and so we would go to church every Sunday, and I was in the choir. But then I also have strong Native American roots on my mom's side, so I grew up believing in like animism and spirits, and we had these little rituals. And so I grew up like that growing up, and then when I was about early 20s, I would say. Well, when I was 10, my grandma died. And so kind of like the Native American like beliefs and practices, they kind of like faded away. Like my family stopped doing that. So
Yeah.
then um when I was in my early 20s, I felt like something was missing. Like I longed for a connection with the earth and nature and wanted to get back to that. Because when I was a kid, I loved being outside and making potions and playing in the mud and with rocks and flowers and all
Yes.
that stuff.
Yes, that was me.
And I was a witch for Halloween for like 4 years straight. So like, and I lost that connection in my teens. And so it was funny. You can find inspiration anywhere, but I was I came across, earth-based religion and paganism. So I started researching that, and that resonated with me. And I was watching the show Green Witch. Have you ever seen, or Good Witch? Have you ever seen it?
Yes, I loved those shows. I used to watch them on repeat, like constantly. My mom thought I was crazy because, they're like really very religious and super Christian. And I was always like the weird one who was like, oh my God, look at this witch movie. And, outside talking to the plants. So,
Yeah, that show was actually what piqued my interest in adulthood in herbalism, was how Cassie had a shop and she worked with herbs, and her customers and friends came to her and she was handing out different remedies and would name like plants that can help with different stuff. That really piqued my interest again into it. And so that's when I started studying it, reading books, taking classes. Um, and that's also how I came into my spiritual practice and being a witch, a green witch, and owning that proudly.
yes. Yes, my spiritual awakening kind of happened at, like the exact same time that I was going through a lot of like issues because my Saturn return was happening. And Saturn is a very harsh teacher of like things in life. And so I was going through all of that kind of stuff, and then like at the same time I really kind of lost all of that connection that I had to the religion that I grew up in and the community that came with it, because it just, I don't know, I never really had connected with it, but there was a lot of stuff that happened in my life around that time that really kind of just disconnected me from it, made me realize that it just really wasn't for me and I didn't believe it. And so at the same time that I was kind of losing my identity of who I was, because I became a mother at this time too. And so, like that transition between who I was now and like now I'm a mom, like how do I combine these two? So I was going through like that huge identity crisis, and then I was losing all of like the spirituality that I knew and finding something different. And so it was kind of a whole crazy thing, but I finally just really found green witchcraft, and that literally just like made me so happy. And when I realized that this was like a thing that I could do where I could be outside all the time if I wanted to. I could legit talk to plants and nobody would think I was crazy.
Yeah.
Like it was so awesome. And I own that now so proudly because yeah, it makes me happy. And if I can tell somebody else about it and it can make them happy too, and maybe they can find their path by learning that this is a thing, that I'm all for it.
Yes, green witchery has definitely helped me improve my life. Like I feel more like myself. It resonates with me so much. And I think
Mm-hmm.
there's like a commonality among green witches is that we work closely with nature and its gifts. And it can be
Yes.
a path for souls who are longing for that deeper connection to help them find the
Mm-hmm.
balance in their lives that they're searching for. And it's helped me by understanding like the cycles of nature and learning to live in tune with it. Also through herbalism and learning about the plants and how they can help us heal both physically and spiritually. And yes,
Mm-hmm.
I love spending time outdoors and connecting to my surroundings. I'm a tree hugger. I will go hug a tree,
Yes.
talk to a tree, animals.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we were in Virginia, I don't know, a couple years ago, and we were walking through the forest that was near where we were staying because we were looking for a Yule log, right?
Mhm.
And we wanted one that was already fallen. We weren't trying to take anything from a living tree. And we get to this section of the forest where it looked like a fire had happened maybe a couple of years ago or so, because there was some new growth and stuff. So it obviously wasn't super recent. And there was just this tree that just like stood out to me. It was like half burned, and I could just feel like the sadness radiating out of this tree. And I felt like immediately like overwhelmed, like with sadness, and like tears were coming down my face. And my husband's looking at me and he's like, are you okay? because I'm just like standing in the middle of like the woods crying. And I walked over to the tree and I'm like, I am so sorry that you lost your life to this fire. And I'm like giving it a hug and everyone's staring at me. And I was like, I don't know. That's me. I do that all the time. So I get it. I like talking to the trees. They have so much wisdom that you can gain because they've been here for so long, especially if you're in like a really old forest and the
Yeah.
trees are all really, really old. Like it's amazing. And I find for me personally, when I don't spend enough time out in nature, for whatever reason, I get caught up in life or I'm stuck inside for a while due to like, bad weather or something, and I can't get out there, like my mental health starts declining, my physical health is declining. Like I legit get sick because I haven't been out in nature. And also to your right, it's helped me really live with the cycles. And as individuals with ovaries and uteruses, like we're very cyclical individuals. And
Mhm.
so really learning how to live with not only the cycle of nature, but like your own cycle, your own menstrual cycle, how you follow the moon cycle, like it just really gives you an understanding of your body and who you are on like a deeper, different level than you can get any other way. And I just really have found that since I really got into green witchcraft, I'm way more in tune with my body and what it needs and how to help it when it needs something than I ever was prior to that. Have you found something similar?
Yes, I have. And that was a beautiful explanation because I feel the exact same way. Being out in nature is so good for our well-being. Especially when we don't want to or the weather's horrible. At least like during winter, if you live in a cold area, it's still good to try to spend like 10 to 15 minutes outside daily to get that fresh air. And by looking outside, there's so much magic around us if we just stop and listen instead of just busy, like on the go, constantly doing this and doing that. But if it's helped me slow down, because as a Capricorn, I tend to be like very like goal driven and like go, especially when it comes to work.
Yes.
And so I've really struggled with that. But green witchery has and connecting with nature has helped me like slow down and take a step back and just enjoy life instead of let it pass me by.
Yeah. One of the things too about being a Capricorn is like literally one of the life lessons that you're here to learn this time around the sun is like how to set boundaries and enforce those. And it's not just boundaries regarding other people, right? It's like personal boundaries, like you setting a boundary between my physical needs and what I need every day and what goals I want to accomplish in my business. Like having that work life balance and setting that boundary and sticking to it is such an important lesson to learn. And so learning to integrate that and use Saturn rules Capricorn, so using Saturn's influence to really help you learn that is just like a really good way to also try to incorporate um, that balance and that flow that we need in our lives.
Yes, and it definitely comes with its struggles, but I'm getting better and better.
Yes. And that's like the thing though, right? Like we don't come to this earth, choose the bodies that we chose, choose the families that we chose because we knew it was going to be easy, right? If we wanted it to be easy, we would have chosen something different. And the fact that like your soul chose your body, your family to learn this lesson, just you're going to struggle, but the fact that you're embracing that and you're like, yes, I know I'm going to struggle, but I'm still going to keep going at it, and you're every day trying to do better than the next, that's literally all that you can do and what you're supposed to do while you're here this time around. So it works out well. But yeah, it's not always easy for sure. I am like a Scorpio through and through. I have Scorpio in 5 planets, all in the 4th house on my chart. So all of my like lessons I have to learn all have to do with like the mother wound and
Mhm.
like really family and things like that. And then with the Scorpio, everything's about like death and rebirth all the time. So I'm literally feel like I'm constantly like rebirthing myself into somebody new. And for the longest time, I felt shame around that because, in the house I was raised in, especially like you were raised that this is who you are and that's all you can ever be. There was nothing else than what they thought you were or who they thought you were or how they thought you should behave, and that was that. And so when I was constantly changing, because that's just who I am as a Scorpio, I felt so much shame about just like embracing new sides of me that I was learning about, or showing up a different way in the world. And so that's been a lesson that I've really been, struggling with a lot until probably the last like 5 or so years. I've really started embracing just the fact that that's who I am. And it's made a huge difference, just not being shameful about it and upset about the fact that that's what I'm here to do, is not only transform myself, but help transform others.
Yeah, and it's so important that we embrace our authenticity and who we
Mm-hmm.
are. I've struggled with that too because growing up, I was taught, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Or since I am African American, my mom, she meant it in a loving way, but she's like, you already have a strike against you. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
putting me into this corner and like dimming me down. So I've really had to
Mm-hmm.
my voice, and even through witchcraft and having my business, it's helped me tremendously do that because I've had to put myself out there and use my
Mm-hmm.
voice. And I'm still learning, but definitely making progress.
Yeah, for sure. I love all the videos and stuff that you make, and I would never have once ever thought that you had that, like, issue in your past, because you're very good at expressing yourself about your beliefs and all of your products. And so I would never know that you struggled with that, to be honest. So that's I don't know if that helps you or not, but that's just what I see.
Yes, thank you.
So I know you have a daughter, right? Is that right?
Yes, I have.
Yes.
Hmm,
And I have a daughter, I think is close in your daughter's age. Mine just turned 10. Um, and
mine will
so,
be in
yeah, so
April.
they are close. Okay. Yeah, mine turns 11 in May. So I guess it just feels like it was just that she turned 10. You know how time flies. Have you started passing any of those beliefs down to her about like the green witchcraft and involving her in any of that? My daughter really, in the last like probably year or so, has really been getting into like that side of it. And she loves it. And she's like, she follows the moon cycles with me. And she's like, Mom, it's the new moon. We need to write our intentions. Mom, it's the full moon. We need to do our full moon ritual. And it's been so, like, I don't know, freeing, opening, healing to like actually be able to share those beliefs with my daughter and raise her in a way that's like completely different from how I was raised, and really see her like really already embracing who she is and being happy about it, and like just really being so in tune with nature and her own cycles already. And I don't know, I really like that aspect of the green witchcraft, is that I really love that I am sharing it with someone else.
Yeah, so I have a blended family. Me and my husband, we both had a kid prior to marriage. So I have my daughter, and then we have our son, and both of them are very interested in what I do. But my daughter, especially, like she'll come into the room in the mornings when she's out of school on the weekends. She'll be like, "Mom, can we do our morning routine?" And so we'll like do meditation.
Yes.
We may do breath work. We may pull like a card. We'll learn about a plant, but she's super excited and she's on it and she's very interested in learning
Mm-hmm.
about all of it. And it is really fun to share that with her. We have like what I call classes where like we just go over like whatever she wants to talk about, whether it's like the moon phases or an herb
Mm-hmm.
or a crystal. And she loves,
Yeah.
like, we'll have mommy daughter dates and we'll go get a Starbucks like drink, and then we'll go to like metaphysical shops and just like shop around, and we absolutely
Yes.
love it. She's a Taurus, I'm a Capricorn, both earth signs, so we love that.
Yes, my daughter's a Taurus too, and I'm a Scorpio, and so we're like exactly opposite on the zodiac wheel. And so it's been interesting to see like how much she complements like my weaknesses with her strengths and vice versa. And
Mhm.
she is so like down to earth and grounded, and I'm like, well, like I'm like a water sign, so I'm like totally not grounded and I need some help. So it's been interesting to see that. But she loves that kind of stuff too. Like just today, before we got on for this, we went into the little town that's here in this area. The festivities actually start tomorrow, so we got here a little early so we could, explore. And there's some kind of rock and like a gem and mineral show going on. So we were out looking at crystals all morning and rocks and all kinds, and we were so happy. And she came home with a few, and she's like, oh, "Look at my new rocks!" And she has her card. She has two card sets. One's an oracle deck, and one is it's called the herbiary, and it's like different plants and animals and stuff. Like the cards have those, and it's more not really a divination deck to per se. It's more of like learning about the stuff and the magical properties and stuff of them. So she loves those, and yeah, she loves our morning routine too. We meditate and pull a card if we feel like it or whatever. It's so nice getting to share that with her.
It is, and it is completely different than how I grew up too. Because I grew up, going to church, and at the same time, like they believed in spirits, but spirits were bad, or like they were afraid of them. And
yes,
I even had an imaginary friend when I was younger. Me and my brother both did, and we're twins, and they were named Sarah and Sam. And we even developed like our own language with them, and it scared my mom and grandma so much. But like they like made us believe, spirits are bad and witchcraft is
yeah,
bad and all that. And it's just all that fear, and it just
mm-hmm.
never felt right with me. So I'm not
Yeah,
surprised at
me
where I
neither.
am right now.
Yeah, I'm really not either. Like looking back, I'm really not surprised that like I wound up where I am in my spirituality and what I believe, because like I said, I was always the, according to my family, the weird one who was outside talking to the plants, or who was like collecting rocks, or who was, leaning on a tree chatting with it. And just like my I had a connection very similar to you with like the spirits, and I'm very like clairaudient in some ways and clairsentient in others. And so I could really like, I was having conversation because I was hearing like replies in my head that were not my voice. Like, how like you sound in your own head, and that's not what it was. It definitely wasn't me. And my parents just didn't get it. They literally thought I was like possessed with the devil, and were always like praying over me and like so worried about me that I was, going to hell or whatever. I don't even know. But they didn't get it, and they were scared and they were terrified. You could see like the fear because they just didn't really understand it, and they didn't ever really care. It didn't seem to really try to understand it. It was just more, well, we're just going to get this out of you, and then it's going to go away, and you're going to, be better. Like there was no like trying to learn anything about that. It was very fear based, and honestly, that's what a lot of organized religion is. It's a very fear based belief system that uses that fear to control people in a way and get them to continue believing that path. And I just never resonated with that, because I was like, we shouldn't be fearful. We're not here to be scared. Let's embrace it. Let's be happy and loving, and like love and light and peace. And it just that was not my life growing up either, so I understand that.
I'm excited to see like how it transforms forward, like when they get older, like how the effects are different than like how we were raised.
Yeah, for sure, because I know I had to go to a hell of a lot of therapy when I left the house, for like moving out on my own finally and everything. And I really just don't want that for my kids. Uh, and it's already seen like a big difference, because I know, like, like I said, my youngest daughter is 10 now, and I'm already seeing like a complete difference in her at this age than I had at that age, So it's already seeing some of those effects, and I'm with you. I'm excited to see how it continues to progress as she ages and, becomes an adult, and how that all works out.
But that's exciting, like an exciting life to be able to travel and see different places and experience that with your family. I love traveling too, but we are definitely stationary. But we live in Colorado. I'm totally a mountain girl. I love the mountains. I will be there any chance I get.
Yeah, that's my husband. If we never left the mountains again, Like if we literally just walked up into a mountain one day and you never heard from us again, it's not because we're dead. It's because we just decided we're living in the mountains and we don't need civilization anymore. And he would be so happy. And I like the mountains, don't get me wrong, but I am like much happier on a beach with the water and the waves. And I don't know if that's just all the water in my chart, that I just love the water and I'm always drawn to it, or what, but that's me. So we try to split our time between the mountains and then some sort of water source. Though I'm happy in the mountains if there is a water source. I will sit all day like by some random creek I found on the top of a mountain because that just makes me happy. So yeah, it's just funny how we're so like different but similar. He loves being outside too. And I when we first went to Virginia, we were staying at a campground and it was literally in the middle of like a national forest. So it was just surrounded by trees. I would like, he'd go outside. He'd be like, oh, I'm going outside. I'll be back. And I'd go outside to ask him a question and he's just gone. And he's just like off in the woods somewhere. And I was like, oh, well, I guess he'll come back eventually. And
We
yeah,
love
so
camping.
yes.
We do, especially in the summertime. We make sure to go camping more frequently and visit different
Mm-hmm.
places. And my favorite mountain town in Colorado that I've been to is Salida. It's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The people there are great. The energy is great. I absolutely love it. So if you get a chance or if you haven't visited it, I definitely recommend checking out Salida.
Haven't visited it, but our property that we purchased, which is right on the border of Colorado and New Mexico, is literally only like I think like 2 hours from Salida. So we'll have to go
Nice.
when we get back there next time. Because we call it the outpost. It's like, where we go for, different things and whatnot, but like we don't stay there too long. So it's nice to have like a stopping point and a place to go if we really just want to get off the road for a while or whatever, but
Mhm.
um it's definitely not a place we just want to be 24/7. Like I said, we tried that this past year and it wasn't us. It didn't work for us and we were all very unhappy. And it just like, I don't know, I just can't even explain it. We just we're like, by the end of the year we're like, we don't want to be here anymore.
It just didn't feel
So
right.
it didn't feel right. It never really felt aligned with like who we were. And I think we were just I don't know, influenced by like outside, you know, forces of people like, oh my God, your poor kids on the road all the time. They need some stability. My kids actually told us that they felt more stable when we were on the road all the time than they did when we were at that property. I was like, well, there you go. Middle finger to all the people who were trying to tell us that our poor kids were suffering by having to, live this adventurous lifestyle. I'm sure my listeners would absolutely love to check out your stuff and your shop and all of that. So if you would like to share where they can find you, I would love to add that to the show notes as well.
Awesome. Yes. So you can find me at HealingTreasures.com. That's my website to my online apothecary. And it's Healing Treasures with a Z instead of an S. I am also on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, mainly Instagram and TikTok, but you can find me there if you want to connect. And I share about my passion for herbalism. I share mainly the spiritual side of it, but I also do share some medicinal and just fun things.
Yes, I'm on her Instagram and I'm telling you, it's really awesome. If you ever need any tips of any kind of herb that has a magical property and you're not sure what it might be or how you can use it, if you head to her page, she has so many like just herbs listed with all that stuff. So it's easy to find an answer from someone who uses this all the time and knows very well what they are doing and can help you out. So I appreciate you being here, Chauri. I am so glad we got to talk today. And it's been so fun to have like another green witch to talk to because I honestly can't say that I like find too many other witches on the road. So it's nice to have a friend that I can call up and talk to when I want.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad that we got to chat and vibe together. Super exciting. And I look forward to connecting still, staying in touch, and checking out your magic and what you do more. I love it. I'm super interested in it.
Yes,
And
it
yes,
is
another
totally
green
my thing.
witch.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I always wanted to do like with my herbalism, it just never really clicked, right? Because like I wanted to use herbs to help, heal other people's bodies and physical ailments. And when I was learning in like the school that I went to about the herbs, it was all very like cut and dry. This herb is good for this thing and this herb is good for that thing. And they were treating them very allopathically, like it was
Yeah.
just a pill, and it never resonated with me, and it was really hard to remember what in the world which herb was good for what or did what or whatever, because it never seemed like, I was like, that's not how plants work though. Like they're not allopathic, they're not going to work like an allopathic medication, and that's the point, right? And so it was really like it never clicked, and so I just happened to, I guess, divinely being led to this herbalist whose name is Sage Popham. He's absolutely amazing. He's been a great mentor. And he had a podcast that I stumbled across. I started listening to it, and he was talking about like the astrological correspondences of the herbs and the metaphysicalist, correspondence to the herbs, and where they fall into like which planet is the like ruler of them, and what moon sign, and like all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, like, wait a minute, this makes sense. Like now I understand why I want to use yarrow for this client over here, but not that one because of that. So I started really kind of diving deeper into like his way of doing things, and ultimately discovered medical astrology, which is basically what he practices, and found another mentor from there. And it's just like I went down that rabbit hole, and it's finally like made it so that everything I do with clients like works so much better, because I'm not just in that allopathic mindset. I'm in the whole body holistic, how someone is cosmically designed and which herbs will help with what's going wrong in their body based on their, natal charts. And it finally clicked. And so I feel like I've actually made me a better herbalist and a better healer to have medical astrology as my methodology over anything else that I ever was taught or used before.
And that is so important to understand the whole plant. That's what I do too. When I'm like, I pick an herb that I'm really interested in or that's calling me, and I look at all of it. I look at the physical, the spiritual, the planetary energy of it, how it affects our body, all of that. And because if we look at it that way, we're able to target and heal the underlying condition, like what's causing it, instead of just
Mm-hmm.
maybe the condition that they're thinking is uncomfortable. Whereas like allopathic, it's just like, here,
Yes.
this can help this, but it may or may not, depending on your body and your workup. So then maybe people get discouraged from using herbs because they tried one and it didn't work, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just it wasn't used correctly, or it may not have been the correct herb for
Yes.
their body.
Yes, I get that so much when people come to me. They're like, "Well, I'm gonna give you a try, but I'm just gonna tell you I don't really like believe in this, herbal thing, because I've tried herbs in the past and they haven't worked." And I was like, "Did you work with a herbalist? Did you work with anybody trained in herbs? Anybody who's knowledgeable of them?" Well, no, I read somewhere that, turmeric was good for inflammation. And so I was taking it for my joint pain, and things were getting worse. And then when I look into their natal chart and I start really investigating like how their body is designed, I'm looking at it and I'm like, dude, you have like a fuck ton of fire in your chart, and your body is like burning up from the inside out, and it's probably full of inflammation. But the thing about turmeric is that it's a very hot,
Mhm.
drying herb. So if you have a hot, dry condition that's causing this pain, taking a hot, drying herb is not going to make it better. It's going to make it
Make it
worse.
worse.
I'm like, you need a moistening herb, dude. You need some water in your life, you know? And it makes a huge difference when you can see like actually inside their body, like what the root cause is, right? And when you manage from the root cause instead of a symptom-based management system, which is what allopathic medicine is, if you go to the doctor and you say, I have anxiety, he's going to be like, here's an anxiety pill. It gets rid of the anxiety. They don't ever look into why you're having anxiety. What's the root cause of the anxiety? If you fix that root cause, then guess what? No more anxiety. And you don't need an
Exactly.
anxiety pill.
Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of times anxiety is literally like a symptom that your body is giving you, telling you that whatever it is that you're currently doing in your life or whatever, every time that anxiety comes up, it's literally telling you that this is more than likely something that's not aligned with who you are or what you should be doing or how you should be living your life or anything like that. And instead of listening to it, we just ignore it and we keep going on. And they're like, oh, I just need a pill to make it go away. But making the anxiety itself go away doesn't fix the fact that you're still like having that anxiety, right? You're just able to ignore it now. And then, that just seats disease inside your body and deep sets it and makes it harder to, fix later because we've been taught to ignore symptoms, or if we don't ignore them, we just suppress them, and suppressing symptoms never makes things better. It's like the ostrich, right? If he sticks his head in the sand, yeah, he can't see the predators, but that doesn't stop the predator from coming and tearing into him, right? But it makes him feel better in the meantime, and that's what allopathic medicine is. It makes you feel better in the meantime, but it doesn't actually fix anything. It just is the ostrich in the sand, that's
Yeah,
going
like
on.
for example, I struggle with high blood pressure. It runs in my family. My mom has it, my grandma has it, my great great grandma, and it goes on and on and
Mm-hmm.
on. And so when I was younger, like I see like my mom and my grandma, they take pills for them. And then even when I was pregnant with my daughter, it caused complications. Like I got hypertension and stuff like that. And then I really needed to start regulating it. Well, back then I wasn't into, herbalism and natural medicine. And so I would take the pills and it would just mask it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
so I've had to learn to also make life adjustments, cut back on the salt, cut back. I don't drink caffeine anymore, but also like making sure I rest enough and eat a lot of natural like food that lowers high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And if you want a herbal suggestion, hawthorn is actually really good for that. The berries or the leaves, tincture or tea form. I like the tincture just because it's easier to take. I don't have to take as much of it, but either one works. And that's really good at helping your body regulate your, blood pressure and keeping
Mhm.
it at a more normal thing by strengthening your heart so that it's not working as hard. It actually works on like the cardiac output more so than it does like the actual pressure. But when your heart is stronger, it functions better. So it doesn't work in the way that people think that it should. Like if you told an allopathic doctor that, oh, we're going to work by strengthening the heart, they would scoff. That's not going to lower your blood pressure. But hawthorn has been proven in many studies to do just that by not working how they think it should. And that's the beauty of herbs. They work in a completely different way than anything else, but they have better outcomes without any side effects most of the time. And so it's just, and they want to study them, and they'll be like, we've done the study and we can't prove that that effect is real. Well, the plants don't give a fuck if you can prove it or not. They know they can do it, and they're going to. They've been here for millennia. They're wise beyond our imagination, and they don't need a study for, to be told that they are or not doing what they already know they can do.
Exactly. And
So
that's what our ancestors used before there was modern medicine. They used
mhm.
herbs to help treat ailments and illnesses and all of that.
Yes. And that was, and still, if you go over to certain countries, Asia, mainly China and India, especially
Mhm.
those two, they still have systems that people go to for management of, their health, for helping heal their bodies. And it's all herbal based. And practitioners, like actual medical practitioners over there, will refer you to a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner or an Ayurvedic practitioner. And in England, where my husband's from, he told me all the time that like if he went to the doctor for an issue, he got referred to a herbalist before, an acupuncturist, the chiropractor. Like he said most of the time you'd go to your, what we would call like your general kind of doctor, right, for something. He's
Mhm.
like, and I'd wind up seeing like, a herbalist or acupuncturist. He's like, and it would fix the problem. He's like, homeopaths, like, he's like, I rarely went to a medical doctor and actually got a medicine. Like, it was more like, here, go see this person over here. They can help you. And we need more of that over here in the US too.
Yes, we do. That's for sure.
It would solve a lot of problems for many people, and it's just ultimately it's better for you too. um, Pills suppress things, they don't change things, they don't cure things, and they make things worse ultimately. When you stop taking them, then the symptoms pop right back up. I mean, like we're talking about
Mhm.
anxiety earlier, if you stop taking those anxiety pills, the anxiety comes back, and now it's worse because you spent so much time suppressing it. Now your body is on like a five alarm alert system because you haven't been listening to it. So it's gotten louder and louder and louder and louder until you do. And so now your anxiety is like 10 times worse than it might have been if you would have just found the root cause to begin with and treated that.
And they can come with severe side effects. Like it took
Mm-hmm.
me when I was on a certain blood pressure medication, I had a severe reaction. Like I started cramping in my body. Like it literally left me immobile for 3 days. Like anytime I would
Yes.
turn, I'd get like this rolling cramp, like in my stomach or in my back. And it was bad. It was like the worst pain besides um
Mm-hmm.
childbirth that I had been in my whole life. And
Yes.
I definitely do not want to go through that again. And that was definitely one of the catalysts that I'm like, all right, like I got to make some changes. And
Yeah.
so that's what I've done.
Yes. And I found too that when I stopped fighting my body and on what it wanted, and instead of ignoring it or suppressing it, or I actually sat and I listened to it, right? I meditated on it if I needed to, or I just sat in stillness. It was like, okay, body, you're talking to me. It's a language I don't understand. The language of symptoms is completely different from what I speak, but I know that you know what you need. I just need you to tell me in a way that I can understand so that I can help you, right? And once I
Mhm.
started doing that, like literally just sitting there, being quiet, listening to my body, and stopped feeling like it was so weird to do this, and trusting that my body knew what it needed and it would give me the cues and the words or whatever that I needed to understand it, that things would change, is when things started changing. When I stopped treating my body like it was a battlefield and like it was a war to be fought all the time, and started treating it like it was a teammate, a friend, somebody that I could trust and I could lean into, and that would help me when understand what it needed when it needed it, things like immediately started getting better. All of my hormonal issues started resolving. I started like, making changes that nobody had told me that would be a good change to make to help with these. Like it was just so, I don't know, interesting, amazing to me at the time how my body knew what I needed. And when I stopped fighting it and started listening to it, that I got exactly what I needed, and I started making the changes, and like changes started happening. Like it was absolutely amazing. And that's really what I work with my clients on, is like just learning to trust your body, because we're taught basically from the time we're like a kid all the way up that we can't trust our bodies, and that we shouldn't trust our bodies, that we need to trust someone else to take care of our bodies.
From
I
the
mean,
outside, yeah.
yeah, trust somebody from the outside. And there's nothing wrong with going and seeing, somebody when you need to, because sometimes you do need some assistance from an outside source, right? And there's nothing wrong
Exactly.
with asking for help. But you shouldn't always put 100% trust in somebody else to know your body better than you do and give it what it needs. You know your body better than anybody else, and better than that outside source will ever know your body. And learning to trust it and stop fighting against it will make a huge difference in your life.
I agree.
And I mean, you've seen that yourself when you stop taking the meds that were fighting against it and just learned to work with your body, you
Hmm.
feel like you're in a much better place. And that's proof. That's all the proof that I need for myself and hopefully for my clients, is like, look, I transformed my entire life by just doing this, this, and this. So I know that it works, and I've done it for other clients. So we know it works. Just,
Take
you just
the leap.
gotta, Yes, and it is a leap. It's hard at first because, you're raised from a baby that you can't trust your body, that it's going to give you mixed signals, that it doesn't know what it
Mhm.
wants, and especially I find my clients that were raised in very religious households have a really hard time trusting their bodies because it's like that intuition, right? And they're taught that intuition is bad. It's really the devil or whatever they were raised in, right? That's how I was raised. Your
Yeah.
intuition was literally the devil, and so because of that, it took me a long time to embrace the fact that like that intuition was a good thing and to listen to it. And when I did, boom, life became so much better. We should probably go before my listeners are like, oh my God, this is way too long. But I could talk to you all day, Chauri, and I am so glad that we got to do this. And I'm so glad you came on today and that my listeners will get to find out about your wonderful stuff and all of your products and hopefully check you out and get some stuff from you as well to enhance that side of their life also.
Thank you so much for having me.
I will chat with you later. Thank you so much for coming.
Welcome. Bye.
Bye. Thank you guys for listening today. I hope that you enjoyed the conversation with Chauri as much as I enjoyed having it with her. She is an absolutely amazing practitioner, an amazing green witch, and an amazing person. So I really hope that you check her out. It's Healing Treasures with a Z instead of an S, Botanical, on Instagram, and you can find all of her links from there. I will chat with you guys later. Love and light. That's it for another great episode of The Herbal Ire. Tune in next week for more valuable content with your host, Ire Atla.